First look at Evolution X ROM based on Android 11 running on the Redmi K20 Pro or the Xiaomi Mi 90 Pro. Hey peeps, what's up? Munchie here, back with another video, and we finally have an awesome build of Evolution X based on Android 11 running on the Redmi K20 Pro or the Xiaomi Mi 90 Pro. Now as you can see, the security patch is from November 5th, 2020. The build date is November 18th, 2020, and yes, the calling issue has been fixed on this build and SE Linux is set as enforcing. And another good news is that safety net is going to pass out of the box without any issues. So as you can see, I do have Magisk Manager installed. My device is not rooted right now. I have only installed Magisk Manager to check for safety net, and there it is. Without rooting, safety net is passing. And those of you who do decide to root your device, you will of course have to enable Magisk Hide for safety net to pass. Now the build comes with G apps baked in, so you do not have to flash Google Apps explicitly, and we do have an install video which can be found in the pinned comment and in the description of this video. So as you can see, I do have Pixel Launcher out of the box. Select feature works like a boss. Take a screenshot, bam, screenshot taken, and you will notice that you have a new option called delete. In case you want to delete the screenshot, tap on share. It is going to open the quick share menu. Press and hold on any application and you can pin it to your quick share menu as well. The recents, as you can see on your screen, are pretty fast, pretty smooth, no jitters and no lags. You can of course access your Google feed as well, and there are no jitters and no lags in the Google feed also, which means the UI is butter smooth. We can also have a look at the volume panel. Here is the volume panel. You can also expand it in case you want to. Tap on the button on the top to switch between the ringer modes, and the button at the bottom is to enable or disable live caption on this build. Next up, when you access your quick settings, you do have the blur and zoom effect working absolutely fine. And here are the quick setting tiles which are available on this build. Now you do have some pretty good tile combination here. So you have tiles for ambient, AOD, caffeine, compass, CPU info working like a boss. You also have heads up, kill the application. Then you can also configure your screenshot options, the sleep screen option, and you also have the FPS counter, top left of the screen. FPS counter works like a boss. And in case you want to edit it, you have the edit icon on the bottom left, and these are the additional tiles which you can add in case you want to. Now if you click on the three dot menu on the top right, you only have the option of reset. You do not have the option of changing the number of icons you see in your quick setting tiles, but those options can be found in Evolver settings. Next up, you can also check for the inbuilt screen recorder of Android 11, and here is the quick setting tile for that. You will see that the panel has been moved to the bottom. You do have the option to enable the lower quality for smaller file size, and yes, this does let you record internal audio and microphone at the same time, and we can check for any UI lag once the screen recording kicks in. And as you can see, there is no UI lag when you start recording your screen, so that is good news for those of you who do game on your device. And while we are in the quick settings panel, do note you can also access your notification history, and as you can see, the Android 11 Easter egg cat game works absolutely fine along with bubbles. Now do note that WhatsApp does not support bubbles right now, and yes, you do have device controls working absolutely fine along with advanced power menu as well. Next up, we can head over to settings, have a look at the different customizations you get. So if you go into network and internet and Wi-Fi and tap on your Wi-Fi name, you have the option to disconnect. Then you also have a toggle to enable or disable auto connect to a Wi-Fi network on a per Wi-Fi basis. Next up, we can go into apps and notification, see all applications, go into Chrome, go into permissions, and yes, you do have three different options for the permissions: allow only while using the app, ask every time, and deny. Then we can go into mobile data and Wi-Fi, and yes, you do have per network isolation feature as well, so you can choose whether Chrome can use data from Wi-Fi, cellular data, background data, or VPN data or not. Going back into the home page of apps and notifications, We also have priority conversations in case you want to use that. We already talked about the fact that you have notification history. You do of course have to enable it from here, and Bubbles is working absolutely fine, but as I mentioned earlier, WhatsApp is not compatible with Bubbles right now. Next up, we can head over to battery. So in battery, you do have thermal profiles, and if you choose your profile as gaming or benchmark, you have this icon in the center, and this is your touch control. So you can enable gaming mode, you can choose the touch response, the touch sensitivity, and the touch resistant area, and the other options for your thermal profiles can be seen on your screen right now. And of course you can choose these on a per app basis. Then you have some more information about your battery, like the designed battery capacity, the current capacity, the charge cycles completed, and the battery temperature as well. Moving over to display. So in display, you do have live display. You can enable or disable reading mode. Everything will go grayscale. Then you can configure your colors using the RGB sliders, and as you can see, works absolutely fine. You also have a reset button as well, and you can also configure your hue, saturation, intensity, and contrast as well in case you want to. You also have adaptive brightness, and a feature which I like to check is turn off adaptive brightness, reduce the brightness to 0. Of course you can't see anything, but I can see, and then double tap to wake and check the FOD. Bam, device is unlocked. Let me go back into settings, go back into display, adaptive brightness, enable adaptive brightness, and bam, there it is. You can see adaptive brightness works absolutely fine, and your FOD also works at 0 screen brightness. Go into styles and wallpapers. Wallpaper, you do have some Pixel 5 live wallpapers baked in. Here they are. Select it, and then you will get a preview for the home screen and for the lock screen as well. In case you want to use it, tap on the check mark on the bottom right of the screen. Go into style. You have different themes which are baked in. You can of course create your own custom theme as well. So these here are the different font options which you have. Then for the icon options, here are the different icon options which you have. Tap on next and you can choose your accent colors, and yes, this is a pretty big list of accent colors which you can choose from. Then you can select next and choose your icon shapes. So these here are the different icon shapes which you can choose. Tap next, give it a custom name, tap on apply, the style will be applied successfully, and here it is. You can see accent color changed, the icon shape also changed without any issues. And if you go back into styles and wallpapers and grid, you can choose the grid size, and you have different options for the grid size as well. Next up, you can also configure the rotation angles. So you can choose between 0, 90, 180, and 270. You can also choose your colors. You have 4 different options: natural, boosted, saturated, or adaptive. Then you can configure your font size, display size. You can change the DPI as well. Go into lock screen. You can configure everything about your lock screen. Now do note that now playing is broken right now, and I recommend that you do not enable it, because enabling it can cause some side effects. You of course have AOD toggle. So bam, here it is. You can see AOD works like a boss with no issues to report. And then you can also configure your ambient display as well in case you do not want to use your AOD. And you can also go into advanced settings and enable or disable pickup, raise to wake, always on. So all these customizations are present in the lock screen section. Then you do have double tap to wake, pocket detection, and yes, anti-flicker mode or DC dimming is also there. So here it is. Double tap to wake works absolutely fine. Double tap to sleep on the lock screen also works without any issues. Next up in display, we have dark theme. So yes, you can enable your dark theme, and once you enable the dark theme, the color bucket option will also be enabled, and you can choose between these different variations of the dark theme in case you want to. Other than that, you can also customize your lock screen clock style. Here are the different options which you have, and they do work absolutely fine. We can check out this one, and bam, there it is, working like a boss with no issues to report. You can also change the accent color. Now unfortunately you do not have the option of a RGB picker for your accent color, but yes, you do have a big list of accent colors over here. Then you can change the fonts. These are the different options for the fonts, and Google Sans font will not be available in Evolution X until and unless Google allows them to do so. and you can also change the icon shape as well. Next up we have sound. So in sound, the different customizations which you have is a toggle to link or delink your ring and notification volumes. Then in case you want to see the volume panel on the left, you have a toggle for that as well. Increasing ring volume with the option to choose the start volume and the ramp up time as well. Then you also have Oxygen OS style ringtone vibration patterns. Live caption works absolutely fine on this build. You do have Android 11 Do Not Disturb, which can be configured on a people, app, and alarm basis, along with the option to schedule your Do Not Disturb mode. Then, if you scroll down, you also have the option to enable or disable the screenshot sound. And yes, you do have Dirac sound enhancer along with the toggle to enable hi-fi mode. Next up we have security. So in security you of course have your normal options of screen lock, which do include pin, password, pattern. Then you also have fingerprint on display, and yes, Evolution X does come with screen off FOD, and as you can see on your screen right now, it works without any issues. Now in terms of face unlock, as per the developer of Evolution X, face unlock will only be implemented in Evolution X if and only if Motorola allows them to use their implementation of face unlock on this ROM. Next up we have system. So in system you can configure your front camera effects along with the camera LED, and you also have the option of choosing between different sound effects. Unfortunately you do not have the latest Star Wars sound effects baked into this build right now. Going to gestures, going to system navigation, you can choose between three different styles, and you can use the old school 3-button navigation, Android 9.0 Pie 2-button navigation, or full screen gestures. And yes, you do have the option to hide the ugly bar at the bottom, and the option which I find missing is the option to hide the back arrow. Then going to prevent ringing, and you can use the power and volume up combination to either vibrate your device, mute your device, or cycle through the different modes. So as you can see, we do have the option enabled, and bam, calls and notifications will vibrate, will be muted, and we can try it one more time. There it is, they will ring. So this I think is a pretty nifty gesture to have. Then you also have 3-finger screenshot, bam, there it is. And as you can see, partial screenshot works like a boss on this build without any issues. And I think you can enable and disable this partial screenshot feature from evolver settings or from the quick setting tile. Then you can configure your power menu as well in case you want to see the device controls or not. And next up we have switch screen off option. So here it is, double tap on the lock screen to put the device to sleep, and we already checked that feature, working absolutely fine. Then you also have the gesture to use the volume rockers to skip the tracks, and yes, you do have adaptive playback, and you do have a text explaining you what adaptive playback does. Basically it's going to pause the music which is playing as soon as you reduce the volume to 0, and then if you increase the volume within the time you choose an adaptive playback, the music is going to resume from where you left off. Next up, we can jump into Evolver and have a look at the multiple customizations you get. So first up, you have about Evolution X, details, the website, the Telegram group, the Twitter page, the GitHub page, and some details about the team Evolution X. Then you have customization for your status bar. So you can of course enable or disable your clock and date. Where do you want to see the clock, left, center, or right? Do you want to see AM, PM, or not? Do you want to see the seconds? Works like a boss. Then in case you want to see the date, you can enable the font size, and you can configure your style, the normal style, lowercase or uppercase. What is the date format you're looking for? Where do you want the date, left of time or right of time? So these are the different options which you have for date. Next up, you can also add a battery bar to your status bar in case you want to, and you do have multiple customizations for the battery bar as well. Then what is the style of battery icon you want to see in your status bar? These are the different options which you have, and you can also enable or disable the quick setting battery percentage. Then in case you want to enable network traffic indicators in your status bar, those options are also there. What all icons you want to see in your status bar, you can configure these on a per icon basis. Then in case you want to see 4G instead of LTE, do you want to see the volt icon, and do you want to see the roaming indicator or not. Next up, you have notifications, so you can configure your heads up. Then in case you want to enable or disable the notification sound if the screen is on, do you want to see a kill app button for the applications in the recents, you can configure your notification light on a per app basis. Then you can also configure your battery charging light, and these are the different options which you have. Then you have in-call vibration options, so you have vibrate on connect, vibrate on call waiting, and vibrate on disconnect. Next up, we have customization for quick settings. First option is to customize the quick pull down. So if I pull down from the right, they are expanded. If I pull down from the left, they are not expanded, and looks like we do have some issues with the left hand side, but there it is on your screen right now. And these are the different options which you have for your quick setting pull down. Then in case you want to enable or disable smart pull down, do you want vibrate on touch when you change your quick settings panel? Do you want to disable quick settings on a secure lock screen? You have a toggle for that. Do you want to show the brightness slider in your quick settings? And if and when you want to show it, you can customize all those things. Do you want to see the auto brightness icon? And this is the icon which they're talking about. Then you can also configure your quick setting columns and rows in portrait mode, landscape mode, tile columns in portrait. Do you want to see the tiles title or not? And tile columns in landscape mode can be configured as well. Next up, you have a customization for your power menu. So in case you want to hide the power menu on a secure lock screen, you have a toggle for that. Then you can customize your gestures. Go into AOSP gestures. We already covered all these gestures. Then in case you want screen off power torch by pressing and holding the power button, so here it is, screen is off, press and hold power button, torch is on, press and hold it, it is turned off. So there it is, you can see the feature works absolutely fine. And you can also configure a timeout for the torch in case you want to. Then do you want to adjust the brightness by sliding across the status bar? You have a toggle for that. Then you have double tap to sleep on the status bar and double tap to wake on doors, and all these options are working absolutely fine. Then you can customize your lock screen. So do you want transparent notifications? Do you want vibrations on successful and unsuccessful fingerprint? Then do you want screen off FOD? We already checked, works absolutely fine like a boss. Then you can configure your fingerprint animations, and you do have a bunch of options for your fingerprint animation effect, and most of these do work absolutely fine. Then you can also enable or disable lock screen charging info. You can modify your left shortcut and the right shortcut which you see on your lock screen. In this current build, the left shortcut is broken, so let me show that to you. Here it is, you can see right one is coming as YouTube, but the left shortcut is missing altogether. So that is a bug in this build right now. Then you can also change your lock screen charging animations, and these are the different options you have. Now if you have FOD enabled, these animations will be hidden behind the fingerprint icon on your lock screen. Then you can enable media cover art, and yes, you do have the option of music visualizer on the lock screen, and it does work without any issues. Next up, you can configure your navigation options. So if you're not using the gesture navigation, that is, you have to use either the 2 button or the 3 button navigation, then you can invert the layout, use the pixel animation in case you want to. Then here is the option to enable or disable partial screenshot. In case you want volume rock or wake, you have a toggle for that. Volume key cursor control, and in case you want to swap the volume buttons when the screen is rotated, you have a toggle for that as well. Next up, you have animations. So either you can disable system wide animations with this toggle, then you can configure your screen off animation. Right now it is set as CRT. That is how the CRT animation looks like, and you can either use the default one or you can use scale, and that is how the scale screen of animation looks like. And then you can configure your scrolling cache as well, and the next options which you see are for your quick setting tiles. So this is your flip effect which we have right now, what is the animation duration you want, and what is the interpolator effect you're looking for. Right now it is set as bounce, and let me show you a quick demo. So here it is, the bounce effect is there along with the flip animation as well. We can change it to say rotate, and Bam, there it is, rotate effect with the bounce effect working like a boss. Then you have miscellaneous, so you have toggles for wake up on charge. Do you want to see the charging animation or not? Then you can configure your default USB configuration, and then you can also configure from wherein you want the ringtone to be played in case you have a headset which is connected, and these are the different options which you have for that. Next up, we can check for YouTube playback to see if there are any issues, and here's a scene from one of my favorite movies, Need for Speed. As you can see, live caption works. Pinch to zoom also works without any issues. There are no jitters or lags with the media playback, and we can also check for picture in picture to see if picture in picture works. Bam, there it is. Picture in picture works without any issues, and this is the grasshopper scene from the movie Need for Speed. It's a Ford Mustang. Next up, in terms of media controls in your status bar, those features work absolutely fine, and you can of course switch your media output as well between the phone speaker and any connected devices, which do include your Bluetooth devices. Now, the OK Google hot word is broken, but Google Assistant works without any issues on this build, as you can see on your screen right now. Now, in terms of animations, here are the animations on your screen right now. As you can see, there are no broken animations. Everything is super smooth. In terms of recents, here it is, super fast, super smooth, no jitters, no lags. We can check out the UI as well. So here it is, Google Feed, no jitters, no lags. We can try switching between the different applications. There it is, no issues in that as well. Next up, we can check for Widevine support. So DRM info application, fingerprint is from a Pixel device. Widevine security level is set as L1. We can also open the Google Play Store and check if we can see the Netflix application or not. So here it is on your screen right now. You can see that Netflix app is available to install. Unfortunately, I do not have a Netflix account to check for media playback on Netflix. In terms of battery, there is no excessive battery drain or anything like that. And in my humble opinion, this build is worthy of a daily driver because there aren't any major issues, and I am very happy to see that finally the Redmi K20 Pro has an Android 11 build which is stable and good for daily use. So there it is, peeps. That was our first look at Evolution X ROM based on Android 11 running on the Redmi K20 Pro or the Xiaomi Mi 90 Pro. And that will do it for this video. Hope my video helped you. Likes, shares and subscribes are appreciated. Feedback and comment more than welcome. See you when I see you.